The BSE is a member of the Sustainable Stock Exchange Initiative. Can you please tell us a little about this?
Well, the Sustainable Stock Exchange Initiative is an initiative driven by various UN groups to involve stock exchanges in raising awareness and driving the agenda for responsible investing. And I think we were very eager to join when approached by the Sustainable Stock Exchange Initiative, because BSE had internally been thinking about what we can do, and the Indian government also had been encouraging the stock exchange to think about how it can be more proactive in this area. So the stock exchange, the Sustainable Stock Exchange Initiative is really a way to exchange information among exchanges and also brainstorm together in terms of what role can exchanges play going forward.
Can you please tell us how the Bombay Stock Exchange is encouraging better CSR practices?
Yes, well, I think probably the most important thing that's happening in India right now is that the regulator has introduced something called Clause 55, which is to require what they call business responsibility reporting. Now, it's a pretty broad area, but what's happening is that for listed companies, at least, in their annual reports, they are now required to include some kind of report on their business responsibilities. Now, that can include not just things related to the environment, but also other CSR activities. So that's one thing that's happened now in India, is that we are now incorporating that into our listing standards. So that's very kind of tangible, and the quantity of information now is increasing. Whether the problem now I think we face is that information comparable between companies, because there's not that much experience with it yet. The other things that we're doing at Bombay Stock Exchange is that we've introduced several indices that we think are very informative and help people kind of understand the way Indian companies behave. So one is called GreenX, which looks at greenhouse gases and essentially weights the company within the index according to elements of how much greenhouse gases it produces. And the second is a similar type of product called CarbonX, which again looks at the carbon intensity of a company.
How are investors responding to these various activities?
Well, I think we see interest in among investors, certainly to track them. I mean, they're still pretty new. They've only about a year or two old, both of these indices, but we're pretty encouraged by the level of interest. People are reporting them, asking about them. I mean, I think the next step is to create investment vehicles like ETFs that would be based on these indices, that would then sort of draw funds into and reward those companies that are exhibiting better behavior. That's sort of the idea. But we're still at pretty early stages of doing this in India.
Can you please elaborate on the current status of responsible investment in India, as well as the future outlook?
Well, India obviously is a very important investment destination globally. The world is paying a lot of attention to what's going on in India and to what companies in India are doing. Now, on the other side, foreign investors are also a very important part of the fabric of the capital markets in India. So they play a very big role in terms of equity markets. They're a substantial portion of the outstanding shares are held by foreign investors. Every day the trading is a substantial, probably 25–30% of the trading is done by foreign investors. So what they think and believe and reward is going to have an impact in terms of the way Indian companies will behave and respond. So I think forums like this today, I mean the institutional investor groups that are focused on these issues, that does have an impact on the way people think about it in India. I mean, that kind of global best practices is certainly having a big impact on thinking in India.